Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining in for today's talk. And our prayer is today that this talk will encourage you and that God will speak to you through it. And I do want to say, you got to subscribe to this YouTube channel right now if you want to see more stuff like this, all the latest content coming out. And also, don't forget, check out our website, myhopecity.cc, and connect with us on Facebook by liking our page, Hope City Efton, and joining our Facebook groups. Again, thank you so much for joining us, and I can't wait to see how God is going to speak to you through this talk.
And today I want to talk to you about declaring war on our actions. Everyone say our actions. Your actions are important. They truly are. If all we have is our thinking, and even if all we have is our words, really when it is all done, all we have is good intentions, right? And so a lot of us, we need to go from just in our mind thinking right or the words we speak, but truly it showing up in the way that we live our actions, because a lot of us know that church people especially have this accusation of being hypocrites. And just a side note, I'll tell you that our church is full of hypocrites because we never live up to the standard of God. So don't think that we're a church that, we're all super holy and we've got to figure it out. We don't. We're real people with real hope. We are messed up trying to figure this all out. But if all we have is the right thoughts, the right words, and never any actions, we just have some good intentions. This is what Thessalonians says in chapter 5. For you are all children of the light and of the day. We don't belong to darkness and night, so be on your guard. Not asleep like the others, stay alert and be clear-headed. Night is the time when people sleep and drinkers get drunk. But let us who live in the light be clear-headed, protected by the armor of faith and love, and wearing our helmet, as our helmet, the confidence of our salvation. For God chose to save us through our Lord Jesus Christ, not to pour out his anger on us. Christ died for us so that whether we are dead or alive when he returns, we can live with him forever. That's exciting. Just reading that verse should be enough to excite you today, especially if you're a believer. And he starts right out by reminding us that we truly are children of the light, that we are children of God, that we got to get that in our mind. It needs to come out in our words. And as we get that in our mind and it comes out in our words, it should start to show up in our actions. That we need to live as children of the light. We need to live as children of God, that it should show up in our attitudes. It should show up in our conversations. It should show up when our hockey team gets beat by a Zamboni driver. It should show up the way that we act. This is what it says in Philippians. It says, above all, you must live as citizens of heaven, conducting yourselves in a manner worthy of the good news about Christ. Then, whether I come and see you again or only hear about you, I will know that you are standing together with one spirit and one purpose, fighting together for the faith, which is the good news. It says that we need to be conducting ourselves in a manner that's worthy of the gospel. Now, some people get this verse a little mixed up and they start to think, well, is this saying that, if I do enough good stuff, then God looks at me and says, oh, you're worthy. And so you're worthy, so now you can become my child. That's not what he's saying. It's saying that because of what Jesus has already done, because of the price that was already paid, you and I need to live in a manner that our life should reflect the good news that we have, the good news of the fact that Jesus paid for our sins. We needed to walk worthy of the gospel. Jesus paid too high of a price for us to continue to live the way that we've always lived. He paid too high of a price. Levi Lusko says this. He says, your daily activity should come from your new identity. Your daily activity should come from your new identity. And Paul in Ephesians, he says it like this: therefore, I, a prisoner for serving the Lord, beg you to lead a life worthy of your calling. For you have been called by God. Always be humble and gentle. Be patient with each other, making allowance for each other's faults because of your love. We need to declare war on our actions. Is anyone ready to declare war today? Are you ready to declare war? We need to declare war on your actions. Now, I could today get up here and just talk to you about all the things you need to change in your life, and you shouldn't be talking that way, and you shouldn't be doing this. And, sometimes that's what we tend to do. We look at people and we see maybe stuff that could be better in their life, and we just look at them and say, get better at this. Be a better person. Change that. I don't want to just do that today. I want to walk with you and give you maybe some practical tools in how you can declare war on your actions. Because there are a lot of us in different times that we act out in a certain way, and just like Paul said, I don't do what I want to do, I do what I don't want to do. We live in that world a lot of times, don't we? We live there a lot in our life. We don't love the way that we talk. We don't love the way maybe we treat other people, but we seem to keep doing it over and over again. So how can you and I declare war on our actions? Number one is this, and I'm not going crazy deep. There's going to be some just practical things today, but I believe that if you apply some of these practical things to your life, you'll begin to change your life. You'll begin to live out the new identity that God has for you. Number one, you need to do this. If you're going to declare war on your actions, you need to check your circle. Everyone say, check my circle. What I mean by that is the people that you are surrounding yourself with most often. The people that you spend the most time with. Who is your circle? Who is in that circle? They say, Tim Ron said this, he said, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. When I read this, do you know what I decided? I'm going to find some wealthier friends. You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Who are you spending time with? Every one of us, we have people that we're doing life with, and if we were to be honest, those people are usually either pulling us up or pulling us down. Very few people in our life are just neutral. They actually say that even as you spend time with people, there's been studies done, and they will hook people up to brain scans, people that spend a lot of time together. And they say that even people that spend a lot of time together, the inner circle that you're doing life with, that even your brain waves get in sync with those people. That's why the people you hang out with the most, you end up laughing at the same jokes, right? You end up liking the same movies. Just a lot of that, and we think, well, that's how we became connected. No, a lot of time it's because that's who we're with all the time, and we start taking on their characteristics and their personality. The easiest way to change your life is to change your friends. Some of you today, that's good. That's all you're going to grab a hold of. But if you want to change your life, you need to change your friends. Change the people that you are doing life with. Craig Rochelle says it like this. He says, show me your friends, and I'll show you your future. Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future. You see, I want to find people, and I want to surround myself with people that are doing better than me. I want to get people in my life that are more spiritual than me. I want to get some people in my life that have more Bible knowledge than me. I want to get some people in my life that have seen more miracles than I've ever seen. I want to get some people in my life that have a better marriage than I have, right? I want to surround myself, and I want my circle to truly lift me up, because no matter what, you are going to be closer to God as a result of the people you're hanging out with, or you'll be farther away from God. I'm not saying we just write people off, don't get me wrong. We need to still be reaching, and we have friends. We need to be sharing the love of Jesus with them. But who are you spending the most time with? It's amazing because our kids, we all know the importance of our kids getting good friends, right? Don't we? None of us want our teenage kid to walk home and say, "Oh, Mom, I just started dating the drug dealer at my school." We don't want that. We know that with our children that we want them to surround themselves with the right circle, but why is it some of us as adults, we don't exercise that very same teaching? We know how important it is for our children to be surrounded by a good circle, a helpful circle, but why is it that we think as adults now it doesn't really matter? You need to check your circle. Who are you spending the most time with? That's why I believe in our church the importance of life groups. We started it with our teens. Really, that was sort of where it started to take off. And if you have a teenager and they're not in a life group, I'm not saying our church kids are perfect and there are not going to be some issues. There will be. There are teenagers. There's going to be issues in our adult life groups. But you need your kids to get in a life group. If you have a teenager, you need to be finding out, go to the website, talk to some of the youth leaders. How do I get my kid in a life group? If you have teenagers tonight, they should be here for one big night. They should be. You need to be doing everything you can to make sure your children are getting a circle of other kids that at least are walking the same direction, wanting to learn a little bit about God, learning their identity in Jesus Christ and not in this world. But just as it is so important for our kids, it's just as important for you and I. You need to check your circle. I loved it today. I had a lady come to me, and they travel from Hoyt every Sunday morning to be here at church. And they got talking to someone from Hoyt, and that person agreed to come and be in a life group in Hoyt. So we got a life group starting in Hoyt. I love that. You need to start doing life with some people that are going the same direction as you. You need to check your circle. Number 2 is this. You need to check your posture. Everyone say, check your posture. Look at the person beside you if they're slouching a bit. Say, check your posture. I actually mean just that, check your posture a little bit. I literally mean this whole idea of standing up straight, shoulders back, head up, check your posture. Because a lot of us, we just seem to, especially when it comes to battles in our mind, it's amazing because our posture can be so messed up. And they say the way that you hold yourself, even the way that you stand, the way that you sit, can actually affect your mood. It can affect your mood. We don't think about it. We thought that was just mom and dad being mean to us. Sit up straight. I don't want to sit up straight. They say it changes your mood. The way that you stand, the way that you hold yourself, your posture. They say that if you stand like this for 10 to 15 minutes, that you actually start to feel depressed. I don't want you all to do that, okay? I gotta hear. You start to feel depressed just by the way you hold yourself. And the opposite is said that if you actually stand up straight with a good posture, your shoulders back, your head up, that you actually start to feel stronger. That there's something that happens in our body that when we just stand up straight and head back, that we feel stronger. Let's do it. I didn't want you to do this and get depressed. If you can stand up right now, I want you to stand up. Even online, if you are able, stand up. We will for a second. I want you right now to everyone just go like this. And now I want you to stand up, shoulders back, head up high. And I'm ready for whatever life has for me. I'm ready to go. There's something that even your posture, even how you stand, it's amazing what it does to us. I believe that's why in the Bible over and over again, stay standing for a minute. Over and over, you read the Psalms. It doesn't tell us that when we come to church or we enter into the presence of God that you stand, hands in your pocket, head down, and and worship the Lord. It doesn't say that, does it? But it says over and over, it talks about our posture. And I believe maybe God just set us up that way, designed us this way. That's why when he's talking about posture, yes, there's times we bow down and there's a significance there where we humble ourselves before God. But then a lot of times in worship, it says to come into his presence with thanksgiving, enter his courts with praise. It talks about lifting holy hands, that you lift them up. Your posture changes a whole lot. I want to do an experiment. You ready? Are you guys ready? Do I have any of my worship team here? Any of my worship team that was leading us? All right, they're all nervous because they were here last night. They're like, oh no. Okay, I need a couple of you. Come on up. All right. All right. Here, let's give them a hand. Corey Frazier stayed away because I embarrassed him really good last night. I want us to try something. We did a song. We started last couple weeks. So it's new, but there's a couple lines in it that's pretty easy for us. And so I want us, those that have pockets, we'll put our hands in our pockets and maybe just our head down. And it is a song. You're going to have to help me out. What key are we going with?
Flat. Do you want me
All right,
to
they're like, this is bad.
No, we're good.
All right, okay. It's a song, and I want us to try just Gone. All right, let's try that.
Okay.
All right.
Gone. Now my sin is dead and gone, and I sing
Now when
hallelujah.
you do it, don't even sway, because I have a tendency, even like this, I start to, like still. Hands in your pocket, head down. Let's try it again. Gone. Here we go. You guys are going to realize how bad I sing.
Now my sin is dead and gone, and I sing hallelujah.
All right. Now I want you to try something. Even if you're not a church person, even if you come from a very different tradition, I want you to try something with me right now, and I want you to stretch your hands up towards heaven. And now I want us to sing this again. All right, let's go.
Gone. Now my sin is dead and gone, and I sing hallelujah.
Sing done.
Done. It is written, it is done, and then I sing hallelujah.
It helps when my worship team knows a new song before us. Now, which felt better? Which felt a little better? Which one did you actually start to feel like, no, I'm free? Like it is done. My sins are gone. Jesus is out of the grave. Your posture completely affects your mood. And a lot of us, we need to start changing our posture. We need to start changing the way that we're walking through life. Thank you. You can grab a seat. Thank you, girls. It's not just about our literal posture. Now, we could go deep into that. And there is honestly just a lot of things that's amazing. Even the way we breathe. They say even the way that we breathe can add stress to us. That's why if you're stressed out, what do they say? Take a deep breath, right? And a lot of us, we're supposed to be breathing that way all the time, but we don't. We're just in a continuation of this short breath, and it affects the way that we're doing life. But not just the literal sense of our posture, but honestly, I want us to think for a minute just about the way that we conduct ourselves. The way that we are walking through life. You see, the Bible teaches us in a lot of ways the way that we are supposed to conduct ourselves, especially as children of God, sons and daughters of the Most High. And so my suggestion to you is, how are you standing in life? How are you walking? What's your posture like? It's amazing because I could use metaphor after metaphor. But I've thought even today as I was in prayer, I thought of my kids are a sports team, a baseball team. Even in hockey, they'll say get in a hockey stance. One of the first things to teach a kid. And in baseball, before they catch a ground ball, the first thing we teach the kid before the ball ever comes to them, and you're teaching them to catch a ground ball, we don't say take your glove, put it in front of the ball. We don't say that. In baseball, we say, okay, you're going to put your feet about, a little farther than your shoulders. You're going to bend right down. You need to get ready, glove down, the other hand over the side a little bit. You need to be ready to catch the ground ball. You see, a lot of our growing and a lot of us improving and becoming who God's called us to be has to do with how we are standing and how we are positioning ourselves. Some people will say, well, are you talking about just faking it till you make it? Not totally. I'm not saying that, but I am saying this, that you need to start acting like it until you become it. Start acting like it until you become it. How does a kid become great at catching ground balls? They've learned the stance. They maybe didn't do it perfect at first, but every time they get in that stance, they start to learn. And, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm at least going to look like a ball player. I might not catch the ball when it comes, but I'm going to at least get ready. You start to act like it until you become it. C.S. Lewis said this, very often the only way to get equality in reality is to start behaving as if you already had it. Very often, the only way to get equality in reality is to start behaving as if you already had it. Paul said it like this. He said, you should imitate me just as I imitate Christ. Says you want to know how you need to walk through life and how you need to react, the attitudes you should have. Says just imitate me. Do what I do as I imitate Christ. Ephesians, he says this, he says, imitate God, therefore, in everything you do, because you are his dear children, live a life filled with love, following the example of Christ. He loved us and offered himself as a sacrifice for us, a pleasing aroma to God. Check your posture. So number one is what? Check your circle. Number two, check your posture. Number three is this. You need to check your props. Check your props. I'm not talking propeller on a plane. I'm talking literal props. I looked up what a prop is. A prop is something used in creating or enhancing a desired effect. You need to check your props. My father-in-law, I popped into his office here. He works with Alpha Canada. And I walked in his office, and he had a big bag beside his desk. And he said, Justin, pick this bag up. So I was like, okay. And I go over, and I pick it up, and it's got a bunch of weights in it. And I'm thinking, what are these little weights for? Little girly weights. Just so y'all know. Even a couple pink ones, maybe. He's like, pick this up. So I pick it up, and then he had a big smile on his face. He said, that's the weight I lost. I said, what? So that's the weight I lost. He said, as I'm losing weight, I just have this bag, and I'm putting the amount of weight that I've lost in this bag. And so he said, even before I go somewhere to eat or I go out with someone, he said, I'll pick that bag up and remind myself the weight that I've lost. And so I don't want to put that weight back on. And so it starts preparing me. What's that? That's a prop. It's helping him get the desired effect. You need to check your props. What are you doing? What are the things in your life that you use to lift you up, to give you the desired effect? What are you doing in your life to help you win? What are you doing in your life? What props are there to help you live the life God's called you to live? We did a series a while ago. Some of you weren't even here when we did it. It's called Guardrails, and it's become a huge part of our life. We talk about it a lot. Just what are the guardrails we put in our life or the props to help us get the desired effect? It's amazing how people get frustrated with choices they make, and they keep making them over and over again. But you ask them, what are the things in your life that you're using to help you overcome that? And they just look at you like, I don't know what you're talking about. If you're here today and you have an addiction to pornography, Do you know a good prop for you would be getting a flip phone? Get rid of an iPhone. Get rid of a computer in your hand. Go back to a flip phone. Well, I couldn't do that. Well, do you really want to have a desire? Do you really have a desire that you overcome that addiction? What are the props in your life? If you're an overcoming alcoholic, don't go out with the boys for wings at the bar. It probably is going to be a lot harder for you to overcome and get the desired effect. You need to check your props. Everyone say, check your props. Check your props. If you struggle with overeating, don't drive down Main Street after work by every fast food restaurant and smelling it. Go on the ring road or whatever. Like, what are the props in your life? Your issue is anger. Stop just all the time reading stuff and putting yourself in environments that just make you angry. If you battle depression, and we could go deep into that, but you know what? There's even props that can help you. There's research that has been done that they say if you just write down once a week, that you get a journal and you write down 5 things once a week that you are thankful for, that you are grateful for. The research would suggest that your happiness increases by 25%. You need to check your props. See, the problem is we live by our feelings, don't we? That's really the issue. And culturally, we're being taught that you just give in to your feelings, and how you feel, that's good, and whatever you feel, that must be part of who you are, and so you just let it out, and that logic falls apart in so many ways if you really start to get into it. But here's the thing today, if you are a follower of Jesus Christ, if you have made a decision that yes, I accept Jesus and the finished work of the cross, and I want Him in my life, and we'll pray it even in the end today. We say, Jesus, forgive me my sins and be my Lord and my Savior. We're saying, Jesus, I no longer want to do life just my way, but you are the Lord of my life. You sit on the throne of my life. I want to live. I want to act out in the way that you want me to act out. And you have to remember that as you come to Christ, the Bible tells us that our old self, those old feelings, that we're dead to that. We're dead to that. We no longer have to be held hostage by our old self and our old feelings and our human nature. Galatians says this, my old self has been crucified with Christ. It is no longer I who live, but Christ lives in me. So I live in this earthly body by trusting in the Son of God who loved me and gave Himself for me. The Bible, nowhere does the Bible tell us what to feel. The Bible doesn't tell us what to feel, but the Bible does tell us what is right. It doesn't tell us what to feel, but it tells us what is right. You see, we need to have a desire in our hearts not to just do what we feel, but do what is right. Because your feelings are deceitful. Your feelings are going to lie to you. And so we need to realize, no, I'm going to do what's right even when I don't feel like it. In other words, I'm going to love when I don't feel like loving. I'm going to show kindness when the last thing I want to do right now is show kindness. I'm going to forgive because I know it's the right thing to do, even though everything inside of me and every feeling that I have right now wants me to hold on to this and wants me to be bitter and wants me to stir that up. But I know the right thing to do is to forgive. Again, Levi said, your daily activity should come from your new identity. Number 4 is this. You need to check your resolve. Everyone say, check my resolve. Check your resolve. Resolve is simply this, a firm determination to do something. a firm determination to do something. As you start to talk about actions, living a life worthy of the gospel, if you've been around church, there seems to be this tendency that we think, even as we talk resolve, that, well, that's who I am, and I'm never going to ever, sin again, and I'm never ever going to have a bad attitude again, and I'm never ever going to be tempted again. And we think that resolve is, as a Christian, that's what it means, but I think most of us here understand that having resolve or checking your resolve isn't saying, I'm now going to be perfect, because we are so far from that. But checking your resolve, if you want to declare war on your actions, is deciding in your heart and your mind that no matter how many times I might fall, I am going to get back up again. When you check your resolve, that's what I'm saying today. Is you determine in your heart, you understand, I am a fallen human being, and there's always going to be this battle inside of me. You see, the enemy of your soul loves when you fall down, or you fall into that same addiction again, or maybe for you it's anger, and although you said, I'm never going to have a fit of rage again, all of a sudden something happens, and that old self comes to the surface, and the enemy of your soul will lie to you and look at you and say, see? You thought you were a Christian. You thought that this Jesus thing made a difference. Then why did you act like you just acted? And the worst thing we can do is start to believe the lies of Satan. You need to check your resolve. If you're going to declare war on your actions, you have to decide in your heart, God, with your help, no matter how many times I might fall, no matter how many times the old self might arise, God, I am declaring that I will get back up. Jesus, you paid too high of a price for me to stay down in this pit that you rescued me from. Jesus, I resolve that I will get back up. I'll pick myself up and I will start walking towards the purpose you have for me one more time. Proverbs says this, the godly may trip 7 times, but they will get up again. Read that with me. The godly may trip 7 times, but they will get up again. My little guy in his hockey team, novice, so 7, 8-year-olds, I get the opportunity. I told my kids in their young ages that I help coach, and so I enjoy it. I enjoy being able to be out with them and being with the other kids. I was proud of myself. The guy from FYJ told me yesterday, he said, oh man, I got this thing on my desk. I was cleaning things out from last year. He said, you got Volunteer of the Year award. I was like, oh, cool. So I go out with the kids and these novice kids learning to play the game. And those of you that aren't hockey people or never really skated, you might not totally get it, but there's a lot of little things. I mean, you think, oh, just go out and play. No, there's a lot of little details, and so we'll work on them, shooting and skating, and even on their skates, how to go on edges on their blades and different things. And so it's hard. It's hard for these kids. It's hard for people that have never skated before. And I look at these little kids, these little 8, 9-year-olds, 7-year-olds, and I tell them over and over, I'll say, kids, when we do this drill, I want to see some of you fall. Because as kids, what happens is if they can't do it, they don't try to do it. And so I look at them and I say, kids, at your age and when you're just learning to skate, when you fall trying something new, that just means that you're actually trying it. Because the first time you even put skates on and stepped on the ice, you kept falling, but now you can stand up. And I would say the same thing to you. That as you start to live your life the way God's called you to live, you're going to fall. But at least you know you're trying. At least you know what? Well, God, I believe your word and I believe you have more for me, so I'm going to try. I love in the book of Micah, it says these words. It says, do not gloat over me, my enemies. For though I fall, I will rise again. Though I sit in darkness, the Lord will be my light. If you stand with me today all across this room. Do not gloat over me, my enemies. For though I fall, I will arise. Someone right now in this moment, you need to get those words in your spirit. Do not gloat over me, my enemies. For though I fall, I will arise. Eugene Patterson, in paraphrase of 1 Thessalonians where we started today, I want to just read this to you. He writes it like this. He says, you are sons of light, daughters of day. We live under wide open skies, and now where we stand. So let's not sleepwalk through life like those others. Let's keep our eyes open and be smart. People sleep at night and get drunk at night, but not us. Since we are creatures of day, let's act like it. Walk out into the daylight sober, dressed up in faith, love, and the hope of salvation. God didn't set us up for His angry rejection, but for salvation by our Master, Jesus Christ. He died for us, a death that triggered life. Whether we're awake with the living or asleep with the dead, we are alive with Him. If you bow your heads in this moment, next week we're going to get into it, but the cool thing in all of this, our thoughts, our words, our actions, we do have a secret weapon. That is the power of the Holy Spirit. We're going to get into that. But there are actually a lot of things that we can just do on our own. So often we try to spiritualize everything, and God's just like, I've given you the tools. No one's looking around, but if you're in the room today and you say, Pastor, I want to declare war on some of my actions. Maybe you're here and it's some addictions. Maybe you're here and it's anger. Maybe you're here and it's not just the depressing thoughts, but it's starting to show up in the way you're living. But you just say, Pastor, I want to declare war on my actions. And I'd like you to pray with me. If you just raise your hand all across this room. Jesus. Jesus. Those of you that know how to pray, I want you to just start praying right now. There's hands up all across this room. Lord, I thank you right in this moment for your conviction. Lord, you do have a way of convicting us, and everyone in this room right now, there are things that you're convicting us of. And Lord, you've seen every hand that's been raised. Lord, they've just simply raised their hand as an indication that they want to declare war. And so, God, I pray, first of all, that you would give them the resolve. God, that they would begin to check their circle. They check their props. God, they check their posture. But God, as they do that, I pray even right now in this moment that God, just a fresh infilling of your Holy Spirit would be theirs. God, we're going to talk about it next week, but you do actually give us a supernatural strength. And God, when we come to the end of all we can do, God, that's when you can step in and start to do some amazing things. So God, right now, do in our lives what only you can do.
I hope today's talk was encouraging to you. And hey, we would love to hear from you of how God spoke to you through this talk. And again, you can message us on Facebook. Make sure to like and follow us while you're there. Hope City F10. You can reach out on our website, myhopecity.cc. And don't forget, subscribe to this YouTube channel so you can stay up to date with all the content coming out. And we are excited to see how God is going to continually move through your life through this. Love you guys. Have a great day.